Hello guys, welcome to Omocha Reviews. Jay here, and today we're going to finally review the high-end master model ZA Mugen Liger by Kotobukiya. Just kidding. This thing is not an HMM, but it looks like an HMM both from afar and up close. Of course, this is a model kit from Supernova, a third-party provider. Now, if you kept up with the news and with our videos here in Omocha Reviews, you'd know that this is their third Zoid after the Murasame and Hayate Liger, both of which are the Mugen Liger's pre-evolutionary forms. Now, to cut to the chase, this thing is the best among all the three Ligers design-wise and quality-wise. I mean, it's just beautiful. I mean, look at the paint job of this. If you examine this from afar and even up close, this thing looks legitimate, and it looks like it came from Kotobukiya's HMM line. I mean, it looks like the exact same replica of the 1/100 action figure that Kotobukiya released a few years back. Now, before I go forward with this review, let me just show you the manual and everything that comes with this kit. So, the manual obviously is still the same from the Hayate and Murasame Liger. However, this one has some misprints, which is why we get this piece of paper right here. Basically, we have to follow this instead of the ones indicated in the instruction manual. Thankfully, they didn't jumble a lot of steps, so just a few here. So don't lose this piece of paper. Keep it close by because you're gonna need it. Next, we have here the action base of the Mugen Liger. So as you can see, the action base is just as good as the Mugen Liger. The silver coloring of this action base really does a lot, especially with the white paint that surrounds it. Also, you get extra parts for the base in case you want to make it taller or wider, as you can see right here. Now for the next one, here are the water slide decals. I'm not a big fan of putting decals on my Zoids because they're not anime accurate, but I do like the decals for the Mugen Liger because the silver linings here will accentuate the design of the Mugen Liger even better. Next, you get the Hayate Liger parts here. So these are the blades of the Hayate Liger, and we also get this yellow part here that I'm not quite sure what it's for. If any of you guys happen to know, feel free to comment below because I really don't know what this is for. But of course, the blades come with the casing of it, so Supernova just gave the entire runner where the blades attach. So later on, we can attach the blades to the Mugen Liger to give this 4 blades. Now let's talk about the kit. So again, I want to focus first on the design of the Mugen Liger because this just looks so amazing. It looks stunning. After assembling this for a good 9 hours, I just went, holy crap, this is one beautiful looking Zoid after I finished it. I think the biggest reason behind this is the quality of the paint. Now, it being predominantly white certainly helps, but the other colors are just as beautifully done. They heavily improved on the Mugen Liger compared to the first two kits. I mean, check out the gray colors here. If you own any previous Mugen Liger, be it a ZA 1/100 or a Takaratomi one, you'd know the colors like the gray and this blue part here is 100% accurate. And you know it's not an easy thing to do, especially with a price tag that comes at what, 30-40 bucks? I mean, the value that you get for the Mugen Liger here is just off the charts. Displaying this in your collection, absolutely stunning. Now, I've talked about the design here, but now let's talk about the articulations. Now, compared to the Hayate Liger, there aren't a lot for the Mugen, but I want to comment on the neck and the head area. Of all the three, the Mugen Liger has the strongest articulation for the head, simply because the mane is significantly shorter, making the movement more, ergonomic. As you can see here, the neck can move at full capacity using that ball joint, and this is something you can't do with the Hayate Liger and the Murasame, mostly because their mane gets in the way, so thus the Mugen gets better angles for its face. I really like how this reminded me of my Takaratomi Mugen Liger back in the day, because that one, being battery powered, it walks and moves its head up and down with a roar, so it kind of reminded me of my childhood, which was pretty cool. Now for the legs here, so the legs and body frame is the exact same thing with the previous ones. Obviously, this is just recycled, but that's not a bad thing because Supernova's early established strengths for their Zoids is really their inner frames. The fact that you can articulate the body securely and give it so many dynamic poses has been a very good feature of Supernova kits. And here we have the tail, so again, this is made out of copper wire, it's the exact same tail. Now going to the blades, obviously this is the new element of this kit, and to be frank, the blades are really well thought of. If you own a Takaratomi one, this blade feels like the exact same from the original, but I think this one may be even better because it has more movement to it. This actually reminds me of the Buster Claws of the Berserk Fury, how it articulates with the way it's constructed. So very cool. As you can see, this comes with the big blade and the smaller one. So unlike the Murasame Liger, the proportions of this is definitely 100% accurate to the one we see in the anime, because the Murasame Liger didn't have a big blade, which, you know, it kinda threw away the proportions, but with this one it's very, very accurate. Further, this is very sturdy when you articulate the blades, so it doesn't crack open, and you can easily adjust it to your liking. Now, if you followed the anime, you'd know the blades differ a bit in motion as well. The larger blade has more reach and movement, while the smaller one is a little limited. So building these two blades may feel similar, but in reality they are slightly different. But still, fundamentally, the blades deploy really nicely, but there is one issue here that I will discuss later. Now, speaking of issues, we'll go to that now. But first, let me be clear here. Unlike the Murasame and Hayate Liger, I think the Mugen Liger, upon completion, has no issues showing whatsoever, at least for me right now. I mean, however, there are new challenges for the Mugen Liger that could stress you out in your build process, challenges that are not seen in the previous kits. So that's what I'm going to discuss. So more on challenges and tips, not necessarily issues. So the first challenge is that really in the beginning you might encounter a roadblock in building the head because there are many small parts. So as you can see here, there are some seam lines there, and that's because the Mugen Liger's face is constructed quite differently with the Hayate and Murasame Liger. As you can see, there are more seam lines. Now, of course, if you're a dedicated hobbyist, you'll find ways to fix these seam lines, whether through pinpoint accuracy in removing nubs, or I don't know, using cement, Tamiya cement to remove the lines altogether. So I'm aware of those things, but what I'm showing you here right now is just snapping this together, so at least you know the raw look of it. Now I'm going to show the manual here, just to show some of the small parts that I'm pertaining to for the head. So as you can see, this step right here, 1-6, this part here that connects to the headpiece, that didn't exist in the Hayate and Murasame's build, so that's a good example of what we're talking about. And you go further here, we can see there are many small parts for you to build in order to connect the side main of the Mugen Liger. So yeah, basically be prepared to build more parts here compared to the previous two kits. Now for the second part, I think this is really my one and only gripe about the Mugen Liger, honestly. It's this gold piece here by the shoulders. So this gold piece right here is sandwiched by the white armor there. Now my issue, to be frank, is that the gold armor doesn't have a peg that connects it to the inner frame of the legs and shoulders. So it's another floating part that counts on the white armor to stay in one place. So I just don't understand why you just can't make a peg for a crucial part like this to make this more secure, especially if you check the leg up close. There are some intricacies here in building the leg, so even if you check inside, there are more parts to see. But again, once you've assembled it, it should be fine and secure. And lastly, my last challenge is in the blades. So I mentioned about the blades a while ago, so let's go to the manual here again. So as you can see, the gray part is right here, and the way the blade moves is through the small part right there. Basically, it's a peg, a separate peg that you have to insert for the blade to move up and down. So this one right here, that's able to move up and down because of that tiny piece of plastic right there. Now the challenge here is to stick it through. I mean, if you have big hands, it's a nightmare to build, honestly. The manual tells you to insert this small piece of plastic from the outside. I mean, this is how I interpreted it. So it's telling you to insert it from the outside, but what you should do, in my opinion, is to insert it from the inside. It's easier to do this from the inside and just sandwich it after insertion. However, using your hands here may hurt. I don't know, in my experience it did. So I recommend using this tool right here. This is a small screwdriver, and I basically use the bottom to press the parts. So I just cover this in cloth to protect the plastic, and then I use this to press onto the plastic because it's really hard to manage with your fingertips. So that's not the last appearance of that. By the leg armor of the Mugen Liger, you'd have to insert that again for the white armor to fit. So that's it for the challenges. Again, I wouldn't call it issues, more like challenges. So yeah, next I just want to show you guys here the freebies. So we get the blade of the Hayate Liger again. So what you just do is you just remove the red caps near the claws and stick the blades in by using this connector that's provided. Now I can't show it to you guys right now how it would look like because I've had issues removing the red caps. I think I pressed them too tightly, so I'm having a hard time removing them. Anyway, I'm not really interested in this one, but yeah, this is how it's supposed to look once connected. So you get 4 blades for the Mugen Liger. So let me know your thoughts about this, guys. Do you think it's a cool gimmick by Supernova? Will you pose your kits with those extra blades for your Mugen? I personally don't like it because I'm an anime purist kind of guy, so I base my kits with how it looks in the anime. So now I'm showing how the Mugen Liger looks with the action base. So it's nothing new, still the same idea with the Hayate and Murasame Liger. And you know what, I'll just go ahead and show the other two here. So here's the Murasame Liger. Of course the color scheme here is different because I painted it to look more like the original one in the anime. And here's the Hayate Liger, so nothing's changed here, it's as pure as it can get. And here, so the Evolved Ligers from Zoids Genesis, and they just look absolutely stunning together. I mean, props to Supernova for improving their craft for every iteration of the Zoids Genesis Ligers. So I really think they perfected it with the Mugen Liger, maybe 90%. So I really love the Mugen Liger. It's my favorite among the three, but honestly the build of the Hayate felt more fun to me, honestly, because the build of the Mugen Liger just had a lot of pain, like literal pain on my fingers because of the small pieces it has. But it was worth it in the end because the Mugen Liger is significantly sturdier and stronger than the Hayate Liger. Anyways, that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. So if you did, please hit like and subscribe to Omocha Reviews. I'll be making more Zoids videos soon. So thanks for watching and till next time. Goodbye.